whenever you have an equation with a number that you're multiplying inside the absolute value, rather than worrying about horizontal and vertical, let's just make a table. Now, the first thing, we do want to separate the 3 from the subtraction sign, because right now you can't tell what you're moving it to. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to factor the inside. So what I mean by factor, I mean undistribute. So I'm going to put the 3 and then a parentheses. Well, 3 times x gives me 3x. 3 times what gives me negative 6? Will be minus 2, won't it? Be a negative 2. So what that does, that tells me I'm going to go horizontally. Sorry, I forget to put the pen back on. I'm going to move it to the right. In fact, I'm not going to say horizontal. I'm just going to say right 2. So I'm going to go on my graph. I'm going to go to the right 2. Sorry, brand new textbook. I didn't notice they had the x and y backwards. This is y, this is x. I won't use this in the future, but I used it on this first one because I didn't notice it. So my v is going to start at 2. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a table. So I'm going to go x and the absolute value of 3x minus 6. I could have just as well said 3 times x minus 2, but I chose to do this. I'm going to put 2 in the center because I know that's where my vertex is at. Notice what happens when I take 3 times 2. I get 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. And that's what my graph is. My vertex is at 0. Well, let's go up 1. So I'll go 3 here. Whoops, can't read that. I'm going to go 3 here. So then I'm going to go 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 6 is 3. So I know, since it's absolute value, my v is going to be at 3 and 3. And since it's symmetric, when I go to the left one, I'm also up 3. And you could make your table by putting 1 in here and see that I do indeed get 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. Where it takes the absolute value, we get 3. So what I would suggest, anytime you have a number inside, I'm asking you to graph it, make a table. Now on the next one, notice I don't have a number inside, so I can just do my normal, everyday, what changes from my parent function. So first thing, my negative means we're going to flip over the x-axis. Which means it's going to be an upside down v. It's going to be to the right 3. It's going to be up 5. Because the negative 3 means we go to the right, and then we go up 5. So if I go to the right 3, up 5, there's our point. And then since it's negative, when I go down 1, I go over 1. Or when I go over 1, I go down 1. When I go over 2, I go down 2, and so on. It's like kind of like slope. But that's my a value. My a is negative 1. Finally, let's look at one where we're going to write the equation of the graph. First off, notice it's an absolute value, so that's why we're going to say write it as an absolute value. I notice right away it's up 62. It's not over anything. It's just up 62. Since it's up 62, that means k equals 62 in my formula. Now, A is kind of like slope, but I always want to go to the right because otherwise, if I go to the left, I have to think backwards. So I'm going to use these 2 points. I'm going to use 0, 62 and 31, 0. And I'm going to find essentially the slope. So A equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we subtract our y's. So I'm going to say 0 minus 62 over 31 minus 0. So you get negative 62 over 31. Well, negative 62 divided by 31, that's negative 2, isn't it? So that's my A. A is negative 2. So now I got everything I need to write my equation. I'm going to write my equation here again. So y equals A, absolute value x minus h, plus k. So I'm going to say y equals A is negative 2. X, no, I didn't say h. H is actually 0, isn't it? Because I'm not moving it left and right. So I could say, in fact, I will say for this one, x minus 0, and then plus 62. Then I can simplify that. Negative 2, absolute value of x, plus 62 is our answer. And that's what we get for an answer for that equation.